It's about self-directed learning, freedom of movement, and independence. Self-directed learning is fundamental to Montessori education. Children make creative choices in their learning and they take initiative in choosing the activities independently. In order for the children to be able to choose the activities, first, the teachers must present them the lessons. Then the children get a turn to work with the activity that has been presented to them. Once the children have learned the process, they then take the initiative in choosing the activities on their own. So self-directed learning empowers the children to make their own decisions as to which activity they will choose and work to learn the skills. Children become responsible and able to take control of their own choices and work responsibly with the guidance of the teachers. In self-directed learning, the children set some goals on what skills they would like to learn. They learn to prioritize which activity they will choose first. They engage in the learning process by working with the activity purposefully and productively. Finally, they complete a work cycle by replacing the activity back in its proper place. Completing a work cycle enables the children to develop many skills such as sense of order, concentration, coordination, and independence. Um, Freedom of movement is also fundamental to our Montessori education. It is the freedom within limits the teacher sets forth that helps the child succeed. There are three basic freedoms in our Montessori classroom. The first freedom is the freedom to move. The children are free to move about the classroom as they wish. However, they may not distract or interrupt a child who is working. The children should be respectful of their peers and classmates who are working in their individual activities. They learn to quietly and carefully walk around someone's floor mat or workspace, as well as use their indoor voice in the classroom. By doing so, children develop grace and courtesy, which is important in learning what it means to be polite and respectful. The second freedom is the freedom to choose. The materials in our Montessori classroom spark the interest of the children and are inviting for the children to take them off the shelves. The child can choose any work they would like to do in the classroom, as long as they have been given lessons on how to do the activity. The children may not take the work off of the shelf until the activities have been introduced and shown to them by the teacher. This way, the children will be able to work with the materials purposefully and productively. The third freedom is the freedom of repetition. When the teacher introduced a new activity to the children, they are encouraged to repeat the work until they have achieved mastery of the skills from that particular activity. The value of repetition is of utmost importance to our Montessori education. Repetition provides the practice that children need to master the new skills. It makes them feel comfortable to work with the activity. It builds their confidence and strengthens their memory skills. So repetition in our Montessori learning environment is very important. Now the independence. By giving a child the ability to make their own choices, providing guidance and allowing them to learn at their own pace, the children will make their own choices and discover the world around them. Giving them this opportunity will make them feel confident and responsible being who will care about others, their friends, and other members of their community. We, the teachers, carefully prepare the classroom environment so that all choices are safe and inviting, and children are free to explore within boundaries. What this means is there's freedom within limits, which is a hallmark of Montessori education, which means that the children are capable of learning and doing things independently, provided they were given lessons on the activities that they were choosing to do. They always have clear expectations and ground rules in place to guide them in making sound choices. So here's a famous quote by Maria Montessori to develop the children's independence. Never help a child with a task at which he feels he can succeed. So if you see in our preschool level, if you see the children are learning to put on their own shoes, it is important that we have to kind of step back and let them do it, because the more that they do it, they become more proficient in doing the skills. In our 3 to 6 program, the children enjoy choosing the activities from the different learning areas, and they can only choose one activity at a time. Each child has a workspace represented by the floor mat or a table mat. They learn to keep pieces of their activities on their workspace, and they take responsibility in cleaning up and putting their things away after they're done working with the activity. The elementary students take this to another level. They have a weekly work plan as a basis of their work choices. They set weekly goals, learn to manage their time, and prioritize their work, which they ultimately need to complete by the end of the week. They must meet certain academic expectations. Teachers use a variety of tools to help students work independently while still meeting their goals, including work plans and time management skills. Students become more interested in research and are given ample opportunity to deeply explore topics of their choice. Miss Andy can explain a little bit more about the work plan and assignments in lower elementary and upper elementary.
Yeah, so Carrie has a few pictures of some examples. So basically in lower elementary, this is an upper elementary example, but here's a lower elementary example. So in lower elementary, they have goals for each week, and then they are expected, then they have jobs for each week, and they're expected to complete their jobs by Friday. And so they check in with the teachers on Friday. Sometimes they have to do a little recess work if they don't finish the jobs that they needed to finish. But the goals are just kind of to help them. Like you can see here, my goal is to do 4 jobs every day. So that's really their goal. The teacher has things that they've set out that the child will need to work on to make sure that they're meeting the things that they need to meet. But then the children can set their own goals and choose some of their own jobs too, to kind of find a balance with that independence. And then it's really consistent from week to week to make sure that the child has those things done by Friday. When they get to upper elementary and the child is becoming more independent for their own materials and their own things, we have jobs that are due on different days. And so, for example, they may have a job that's due on Wednesday, and it's very consistent. Like science will always be due on Wednesday, and history will always be due on Thursday, just for example. But it helps the child kind of manage time a little bit more and prioritize their work, like Sulia said. So you'll see there in that planner that some of the jobs have like a 1 or a 2 or 3 or 4 next to them. And that's where the child has prioritized what they need to do first. So maybe the job that's due first, then that's their first priority. And the job that's second, that's their second priority, and so on. So we really try to help the child as they become older and move into the next level, that they can really continue to develop their organization skills and their independence, so that will help them be successful for the next middle school and then later on in life.